abstaining from sexual immorality is honestly a life changer. And to be honest, especially if you're single, I mean, if you're single trying to get a solid relationship, or if you're in a relationship and you're trying to keep it or whatever, not watching sexual content is so important. And I'm going to speak from some of my own experiences here, like not obviously specific details or anything, but so it's interesting because I feel like around my age, right? I'm born in 2000. I'm born in October 2000. So I'm 25, right? I feel like anybody around my age, we grew up when all this internet and pornography and stuff in general just started, right? Like pretty much like by the time we were in like elementary school, middle school, all this stuff had like just evolved to the point of now all of us seeing it, right? And what's interesting is I saw a video of somebody talking about this on one of Theo Vaughn's podcasts. Like sometimes things evolve faster than science can back it up. So we had access to all this content at like 11, 12, 13 years old without knowing the repercussions of it at all, right? We only know about, at least I only learned about repercussions of it a few years ago, right? So what's interesting is for like, what? So like, for like 8 years of my life, about maybe, right? I don't know, around 8 years of my life, right? I was doing something almost all the time, whatever, that I had no idea was the reason why I couldn't get a girl, or I wasn't even confident talking to girls, or I couldn't just, I'm trying to think of a way to explain it. Like so I think the first time I was introduced to it was like, I want to say sometime in middle school, right? And it's interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna paint a picture here. So when I was in like elementary school, right, before watching any content, I'm in elementary school, right? I just feel like I had this sense of confidence where I felt like I could talk to girls completely naturally. And of course, I'm a young kid, but I just had that base confidence of just like, yeah, like I could talk to this girl. I could pull this girl if I wanted to, like not in an egotistical way, but just like I just had the confidence that I was able to. You know what I mean? I just felt able to, right? And then, and I know it was elementary school, but like I had my handful of girls that I talked to and whatnot. I just, from at least in my memory, from what I stored in my memory, I had, you know what I mean? Whatever. Like I was able to. I just remember thinking, like at least in my head, being like, yeah, like this and that. Like I don't know if I had like actual full on girlfriends back then. I mean, not that, you know, we would have done anything back then anyway. But you know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, when I got to middle school, right? Now, middle school is when I got introduced to the sexual content. I'm telling you, the mindset difference of elementary to middle school, like when I was in middle school, I genuinely felt like I could not pull any girl at all. And I didn't. And I realize now, like more so that because when I was in middle school, I started to watch that stuff. And when you watch that stuff, it makes you like completely idolize these girls and like get you to a point where you're like shaken up. Like, I'm trying to find a good way to explain it, but it makes you feel like you're just not in control of yourself anymore. And it's a terrible feeling. And I thought it was just natural at the time. I thought, oh, you know, maybe just because I'm a certain age now, I'm starting to worry. Like, you know how people say, oh, when you get older, things get harder. Things like, you know what I mean? In my head, I'm just like, okay, that just must be what it is. Right? So keep in mind, okay, so middle school, I liked a bunch of girls. No, not one of them liked me back. No exaggeration. Not one of them liked me back. Then come high school, right? And I remember even in middle school, like trying to talk to girls and they would just reject me to my face and be like, sorry, I'm not down. Now come high school. Still, you know what I mean? Didn't know that it was an issue with the sexual content or whatever. So I was just watching it like any other person my age, sadly. We all just grew up on that. You know what I mean? It just was the way it was. And because we didn't know it was bad, at least I didn't know it was bad. And And I didn't know it was changing my brain chemistry. I didn't know it was making me, a simp. You know what I mean? I didn't know that was what was happening. I didn't know that it was literally turning me into a simp. So, anywho, come high school, same thing. There's a lot more, whatever, just a lot of pretty girls or whatever around the school. Like, I'm a freshman. I'm looking at seniors, juniors who are like really pretty to me and everything like that. And since I'm watching that content, it's like it puts them up on like a pedestal and it puts you down. That's literally what happens. So you're viewing them as above you in in an unhealthy way. Well, I don't think there's any healthy way to view somebody above yourself, I guess, but except for God, really. But you know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, so what I'm trying to explain is, because I was watching so much of that content and I was so like lustfully, like anytime I saw a girl, I couldn't even see her for who she genuinely was in her soul. All I just saw her as was pleasure. Like, that's it. I didn't have the ability to like try and talk to them. Like, instead of trying to talk to them, I would like just, I don't know. It's hard to even explain. Like, instead of trying to talk to them, it's almost like I just accepted the fact that I couldn't, because I just had no confidence in myself, because I didn't know that watching all that stuff was turning me into a cuck. You know what I mean? It literally turns you into a person that gets used to just watching from the sidelines. It turns you into a spectator. And when you're doing it like all the time, you're just so depleted all the time that you don't even have any masculine drive to try and pursue any girls anyway, And not only that, but since from doing it all the time too, you have such little emotional control that the moment a girl like doesn't really want you, you're just so like emotionally upset about it. Like, you don't even give yourself a chance. And similar in high school, I didn't get, you know what I mean? I didn't do nothing. I wasn't into, not that I wasn't into, I was definitely into the girls, but they were not into me, yo. Like, I'm not even kidding. Not one. And it's just the way it was. Like, there was not one girl that was into me, and that's just the way it was. And then come college, same thing. I was still watching, at the beginning of college at least, I was still watching that content. Did any girl in college want me? No, not one, bro. The reason I'm explaining, I'm kind of exposing myself here, but there's a reason why I'm saying all this. So come 2022 was when I finally like came across abstaining and all this type of stuff, right? And the moment I started to practice that, right? Like, the moment I started to practice that, within a few months, so I hadn't talked to a girl like that, really talked like in a talking stage in years since this point. Since like, I don't even know, probably my junior year of high school. So which was like my junior year was like 2017. So now it's 2022, 5 years. So it's been like 5 years since I hadn't even like been in a talking stage. And even back then in 2017, it was just a talking stage that lasted like 2 weeks, because I was watching so much freaking porn that I ended up, you know what I mean, just completely pushing her away in the spiritual realm. That's just the way it works. That's the way it happens, at least from my experience. So come 2022 now, I finally, hopped on the path. Obviously I didn't just jump in it and just was completely perfect off rip, but things are cumulative. So I would, not do it for, in the beginning, like not do it for like a week or whatever the case was, and just not look at the sexual content like nearly as much, like way, way, way less, like my intentions. And I feel like the most important thing was that my intention was to not watch it at all, and that was always my intention. If I ever fell into weakness, that was like something different. It wasn't like a sin of malice, it was more so a sin of weakness. So what I'm getting at is, a few months later, I think it was like a friend at the time was like, yo, like my girlfriend's friend, like she's seen a picture of you. Like, I didn't send a picture, nothing like that. Nothing like that happened. He was like, yo, she just seen a picture of you because she's seen a picture of us together and she wanted to know if you were like down. Like, I told her you were single and she just asked if you wanted to, talk or something. Dude, I know that's something small, but you gotta understand, this was the first time anything like that has happened pretty much ever. Since like elementary, maybe. You know what I mean? Something where it just aligned, you know, like, and in my head, I'm like, whoa, because, you know, I'm watching these videos and these guys are talking about like, yo, once you abstain, I'm telling you, yo, things align, this happens, that happens. And I'm like, I wasn't fully skeptical, but I was just kind of like, okay, like, I'll believe you, like, let's see. You know what I mean? That's interesting. Like, of course, there was a little doubt in my mind, like, really, like, is that because I've never felt it before? I've never done it before. So in my head, I'm like, interesting. All right, let's see. After the first few months, nothing happened. So I'm like, all right, maybe it was nonsense. Maybe I just got to do it for longer, whatever the case was. But then that happened. And I remember just in that moment, just being like, that's crazy. And me and her ended up talking, having good conversation. She ended up really liking me, this and that. We're talking and I'm meeting up with her, hanging out. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy, yo. Like, the moment I stepped away from sexual content, the moment I stepped away from it was the moment I got something real. So, long story short, me and her didn't end up working out, but not in like a bad way. It just, she lived far and you know, but it is what it is. Like, me and her didn't end up working out, but it's still, but this time I knew it wasn't because I was just freaking sitting home tossing off like freaking, you know what I mean? Like, I knew it was because just a natural, whatever the case was, just she wasn't meant for me. She was meant to teach me a lesson. You know, however it is, God puts people in our lives for a certain reason and then removes them, whatever the case is. But like a month after that, me and her only spoke for like maybe a month and a half, 2 months. But now, like a few weeks after that or a month after that, again, I'm just chilling somewhere, right? I don't want to give too much detail. I mean, I highly doubt any of these people are going to watch this video anyway, but I don't want to give too much detail, so I'll try to be as vague as possible. So I was at a place, pretty much a friend of a friend's house, and yo, one of the prettiest girls I've ever seen in my life, for real. Like, I'm not even trolling. Like, one of the prettiest girls I've ever seen in my life came up to me, bro. Like, literally came up to me and sparked up a conversation about one of my tattoos. I think it was like a summer month. And I was showing the Naruto one and said something about that one. I don't know. Something like that. I was wearing like a tank top or something. Anyways. But, yo, and she came up to me, bro, and like started talking with me and this and that. And yo, like, again, it's something small, but you gotta understand that when I was watching sexual content, bro, this type of stuff never happened to me. Ever, bro. So that happened. That second time, and then me and her spoke for like a month, and she was like, I mean, yeah, I already said it. She was pretty, bro. She was pretty, but again, me and her didn't end up working out. Is what it is. Just whatever the case is. But either way, it showed me that I was able to attract girls, like, actually do it. Because for a long time in my life, for those 8 years, I was just like, I must just be popped. You know what I mean? I thought in my head, I'm just like, I just must be a lot uglier than I thought I was or something. You know what I mean? I must really just not know how to talk to girls. You know what I mean? This is what I was thinking in my head, because I had no confidence, because I kept doing that. But once I stepped away from sexualizing and objectifying every single freaking girl that I saw, things changed. God saw it and started placing things and putting things in place. And now, a few months after that situation, I don't want to keep going on and on and on, but a few months after that situation, another girl came around. And keep in mind, these aren't girls that I looked for. These aren't girls that I tried to go get. And like, you know what I mean? These are girls that spawned in my life like a freaking Black Myth Wukong boss. You know what I'm saying? Like, they spawned in. And I feel like when you abstain, you really attract. Like, I know people talk about like this manifestation and all this type of stuff, and I do believe in it. I believe it all comes from God, though, you know. But I do feel like when you put yourself in that higher vibration mindset, then God sees that and gives you high vibrational things. You know, that's the way I perceive it. So yeah, I was just at a higher vibration ever since I started to abstain. And I feel like God's seen that. He's seen me making these moves. And I feel like when it's one of those things, like you meet God halfway, right? So you come up here and then God comes down here. You see what I'm saying? Like, when you start to do the right thing, God meets you halfway. He meets you there. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I feel like what's the verse? Hold on. It's but seek first his kingdom, his righteousness, and all these things will be added on to you. Matthew 6:33. You know, so it's like just do the right thing, and God will bring you the right thing for you. You know? So I just feel like because I started to make the right decisions is why those things were brought into my life. So again, like a few months after that, crazy enough, a few months after that, actually, I don't want to give too much detail. Never mind. I don't want to give too much detail, but it was another occurrence. Similar situation again, but this time, she actually became, okay. Okay, she became my girlfriend. I don't think she's gonna watch. I don't think, you know what I mean? Whatever. I'm not saying a name. Whatever. After some time, somebody, a few months after that, a different person became my girlfriend. You know, and then we were boyfriend, girlfriend for a while. And this was like the first time I had like a real relationship, you know? And yeah, I just knew it was from doing the right thing. And so the basis of why I'm explaining all this is not to gloat and brag the fact that I had pulled girls. Like, that's obviously not the intention of this at all. It's for anybody watching who like is on the fence about abstaining or something like that, and they're like, I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to inspire you to actually do it, because genuinely, like, it completely changed my life 100%. And if you're somebody who feels like you can't pull a fly, you know, like I felt like that too, where if you're somebody who feels like, yo, you just, for some reason, you just feel like you can't pull any girl, no matter what you try to do, dude, it's because you're probably watching, I mean, it's, if you're watching sexual content often, it's because of that. Like, it's literally because of that. I'm not even kidding. Everything is like a chain effect. Everything's like a domino effect, you know? So once you cut that out, every other aspect of your life starts to change. Your confidence level, your energy level, everything in general. Like, if you're watching this video, I'm sure you've probably seen other people talk about like the benefits of retaining and everything. But there is this, like, that's what I'm saying. I like to say it's God, but there is this like spiritual level to this type of stuff. There is like a spiritual, an unseen type of level to this type of stuff, to where it's like literal like magic, you know, but from God, magic from God. You know what I'm saying? So where it's literally like you do the right thing and the right thing happens. Like, you abstain and you attract real girls. But it's not like fake abstaining where you still like sexualize girls all the time. Like, it's the real type of abstaining where you actually don't entertain thoughts. You know, it's that type. And when you do that, everything changes 100%. This is a long video. I didn't expect this video to be this long. I just wanted to talk about this. You know, if it, like I said, if I said in a previous video, if this could help one person, then it was worth it for sure. Because I know there's, I mean, think about it. If there's one person who's watching this point, what's up? And look, hopefully what I said makes some type of sense, and it inspires you to really abstain, because genuinely you could change your entire life. Like, you could go from, for 8 years straight, not having any type of female encounter at all, to girls spawning in your life without you looking for them, you know? Because that's just the way it works. Like I was saying, that the unseen things, like, yo, they start being placed into your life, yo. And it's crazy. It's surreal. It's surreal when you experience it, because I've experienced both ends of the coin. You know, I've experienced the life of the person who just touched themselves almost every single day and just felt like they could never get a girl ever. And then I've experienced a life where I finally changed my ways, and I'm still working and moving forward and trying to get better. I'm not nearly where I want to be yet, but I've experienced that journey of going towards doing the right thing, and how things just flow effortlessly regarding girls or anything at all, really. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. I wanted to say this verse, Ezekiel 18:21-22. Thus says the Lord God, if the wicked man turns away from all the sins he committed, if he keeps all my statutes and does what is right and just, he shall surely live. He shall not die. None of the crimes he committed shall be remembered against him. He shall live because of the virtue he has practiced. Ezekiel 18:21-22. So that's pretty much saying, look, if the wicked man who, the man who's giving into a bunch of sexual immorality or just doing the wrong thing in general, just if he's doing all that, but he changes his ways, if in a moment he decides, you know what, I'm not going to do that anymore, I'm going to change my ways, then none of the crimes he committed shall be remembered against him. So to put that into perspective, it's like, so when it was 2022 for me and a few months had passed, it's not like God was like, oh, but 2 years ago you were doing it every day, so I'm not gonna give you anything. No, I changed my ways. My intention changed. So those past sins weren't remembered against me. Those past things that I was doing weren't remembered against me. All God sees is who you are right now. He sees the new, and he gives you new life. So God gives you that reset button, and he allows you to change your ways if you really want to, if you really are serious about it. And it says he shall live because of the virtue he practiced. If you get to a turning point and then you do the right thing from that point on forward, then what you did in those mistakes that you made in the past aren't held against you. And I feel like that's a really inspirational verse. I just feel like it's about moving forward and not looking back. And I feel like that's what this verse talks about kind of too. It's like, just look forward, just be in the present and look forward and don't look back. Don't think about those past mistakes that you made, because that's the dark side. That's the devil trying to make you feel guilty, and so he could wrap you back up in the cycle and make you think that you're a bad person, so you just keep doing the bad thing over and over and over. That's what the devil wants. But God says, do the right thing and those mistakes won't be remembered against you. You'll live because of the virtue you practiced of doing the right thing, So yeah, just hit that turning point, do the right thing. And yeah, this is a long video. If anybody is still watching this video, much respect, and I appreciate it. And I really hope that this helped. I hope it helped, and I hope it gave you some ideas, and that it inspired you to put more effort into abstaining. It's all God's will. God wanted you to watch this. So he wanted me to tell you to try, to go for it. Or wait, there is no try. Hold on. Shout out to Yoda. There is no try. Just do it. Go for it. Just, you know what I mean? Just do it. Don't entertain the thoughts. You can't stop a bird from flying over your head, but you can stop it from building its nest. So the sexual thoughts are going to come. They're going to fly over your head for sure. The bird's going to fly over your head. But the key is you just push it away when it comes. You kind of give yourself, like, what I like to do is that something I discovered from a video, and I don't remember exactly what video this was from, but when a sexual thought comes, you give yourself 3 seconds, right? Like, you just, like, even if it's in person, like you see somebody who looks really good in person, something like that, you just, obviously you're not gonna like shut your eyes in public, right? But if you're alone, you could like shut your eyes, or if you're in public, you don't have to shut your eyes, but you just give it in your head, you just count to 3, like kind of slowly. And that little window gives you the ability to make a calculated move on what you think in your head and what you want to do. So for example, if you're like watching a video and you're watching a random YouTube video of like a vlog or something, and some girl, like, whatever, in a bikini just pops out of nowhere, if you don't do that 3-second thing, then you could potentially be susceptible to looking at her for a lot longer than you should, and like allowing thoughts to play through in your head. But when you give yourself that 3 seconds, so now you see it, right? And then you just kind of, like 1, 2, 3, and now you're like, all right, let me just click away. Let me just click away from the video. Let me just not continue to watch this, or fast forward. It gives you that second to calculate your decision. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's super useful. Yeah. And that's also what helps, to not let the bird build its nest, Yeah. I feel like observing and not identifying is also really important too, because a mistake that I used to make a lot in the past was I would observe that I was thinking a sexual thought when I saw a person, or like not even a sexual thought, just I would observe that I found somebody very attractive, and I would instantly like think like I'm trying to think of how I would think. I don't know. You just instantly would think about them, right? But the key is to not identify with certain thoughts. Like you could observe, like, look, I'm a man. You know what I mean? I have sexual uh drive, I guess, whatever the words are, I don't even know. And it's natural. You know what I mean? It's natural for me to look at a girl, you know what I mean? And feel something. It's natural, but the key is you don't identify with wanting to like just have random sex with anybody. You observe the sexual drive that you have. You observe it, but then you're just like, yeah, like she's attractive. But she's not my girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? Like or whatever the case is, like, yeah, okay, she's attractive, but that's it. It kind of like stops there, you know? And that's where I feel like the self-control comes in. And self-control is just so important in so many different ways. But having that self-control to like view that somebody's beautiful, but not allow yourself to succumb to anything, that's like crazy. It's like, I don't know, it feels like a superpower sometimes, honestly, because, and I'm only speaking because I was on the other, like I said, I was on that other side of the coin. I was the guy that saw an attractive girl and just was in shambles. Like I couldn't even talk to them. I would like stutter if I tried to talk, like, you know what I mean? And it's like, bro, like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? What was I doing with all that? Like, I don't know. It's just crazy to think about. But then, you know, you get to a point when you abstain and stuff like that, you realize like, yo, that's a human just like I am. You know? Like that's a literal human being. It's kind of messed up to just like sexualize them the moment you see them, you know, or to just automatically just, oh, that person's hot, like before even like, you know, I don't know. Hopefully what I'm saying is making sense, but it's just not cool to be in that like mindset of just being like kind of a simp, you know. And I'm not saying simp in a derogatory way. I'm just saying simp, and that's just honestly the best word that comes to mind to describe what it is, because it's just the way it is. And yeah, but I guess that's pretty much it. I guess there's nothing else for me to say here. Just try to abstain from sexual immorality because it will definitely change your life. It'll definitely, if you're looking for a real true partner, with like a real relationship that's like actual, you know, something good, and you're trying to attract that into your life, I'd say abstain, because that'll allow God to give it to you. That'll give you the space to have God be like, oh, okay, all right, you're abstaining, okay, copy. Now I'll give you something, you know. So, but yeah, it's pretty much it.